Hey, it's Soul with another video, and today we're doing a recap of Day 2 of Midnight's reveal, mostly featuring housing. The coverage is ongoing, with changes and new information to learn each day. Later this week I'll do a big old recap of everything, but for now I'll try to keep this nice and short. Please like this video, subscribe for more WoW coverage, and catch me where I'm live. Yesterday I talked about how Transmog costs are going to be reduced to 0 in the upcoming Midnight expansion. Unfortunately, that information was misunderstood, so let's clarify about what's really happening. In Midnight, we will no longer transmog individual items, but the gear slots they inhabit. So let's say I set up this very sexy outfit you see before you. If I happen to chance upon a new helmet, if I put it on, obviously I get the updated stats, but my appearance will not change, because that helmet slot transmog has not changed. However, there will still be a cost if I wanted to change like the appearance of my helmet. The situations feature is still going to let us swap between outfits without cost after spending the gold to set these up. That's going to mean crazy people like me who happen to do random transmog all the time. Unfortunately, we're not going to be affected by these transmog changes at all. We'll still be thrown down how much it is we're spending to change our appearance. I do like the change though, despite the clarification. It's still well within my predictions of how I think transmog should be handled going forward, especially as we're leaning so hard into giving players lots of cosmetics to play around with while having this new quality of life improvement to long-term expenses. Today's Gamescom stuff featured a lengthy housing showcase with Taliesin, Evitel, and Esfand as hosts, with Mr. GM, Zaryu, Peekaboo, and Annie Fuchsia as guest streamers with hands-on practical demonstrations of what housing's all about. The VOD is now available over on YouTube, and a link to the entire day's worth of WoW stuff is in the video description. But when I showed this off to the stream earlier today, more than a few folks were sold over Midnight by this presentation, the controls, and the very generous room sizes. Before the demonstrations though, Taliesin and Evitel ambushed Associate Game Director Paul Cubitt to get some information. We learned that Orc, Human, Night Elf, and Blood Elf exterior home shapes are expected to be available, but it's not certain if this is for early access or the Midnight general launch. This wasn't a real interview, so unfortunately there were very few specifics. We might have to just wait for this weekend systems panel to get our questions answered, but he did mention this.
Professions are going to be a big way for us to be able to get decor as well, that you'll be able to craft things with any profession, and this is also backwards looking too. So if you are looking for an excuse to go back and level up your Pandaria or BFA or whatever inscription, leatherworking, go ahead. Maybe not a bad idea to start looking into that, because there will be plenty of recipes back in there for you to be able to make. And then other things will just be hidden around the world. We have a lot of interesting ways to get stuff in World of Warcraft that we've built up over time. An example that we throw around pretty often is in Mechagon. There was the his name escapes me now, but the little stationary crafting guy that you can use to craft stuff there. Yeah, that you can use that to be able to craft a couple Mechanome specific things as well. So you should be looking for things like that. Maybe there's something that's really close to the Molten Front, and so you have to advance the Molten Front a little bit to be able to find the vendor in that space. There'll be lots of interesting pieces of decor that are tucked into little places of the world that give you excuses to go back, either explore those places for the first time or experience a little bit of nostalgia in going back to the Molten Front and remembering what those druids were doing back there.
So he name dropped the Pascal King feature in Mechagon, which crafted gadgets and other fun stuff to use in the zone, as well as the Molten Front. It's a slice of the Firelands in the Hydral zone. I have to admit, it's hard to ignore those spots now that we're hearing specific names. But also, this underlines the scope at which we'll find housing recipes. Every nook and cranny may be up for grabs, from lesser-known systems to out-of-the-way vendors, maybe even old secrets long solved. And as Annie Fuchsia spoke with the dev off-cam, we learned that yes, we will be able to import housing builds, although they didn't get into specifics. The WoW team has been holding interviews with various media outlets, like an interview with GameSpot revealed that early access to player housing is going to be limited. They didn't get too specific, but I suspect we'll get to choose or make a neighborhood and of course start building the house, but not all the neighborhood features will be enabled, like Endeavors, that's the monthly reward system I've compared to the trading post, or the leveling track, which reportedly relies on Endeavors to progress. It's not hard to see that having early access to these features would feel really unfair for those who go into housing during the general launch months later, but in the meantime we'll still be preoccupied with farming up legacy and the War Within content for decor, and when Midnight launches, housing folk will have an even start to collecting. Finally, I want to point out this image Blizzard posted on social media. It mentions the collection of a new crafting material, lumber, but it doesn't specifically point out a new woodcutting profession will be introduced. I mean, maybe it will, maybe some other activity will manage the gathering of wood that all of our characters in our warband will participate in. And next to this is a new picture of the housing dashboard. Now, of course, anything can change, but I want to point out how this room limit expands from 35 rooms to 40, which sounds pretty insane. Room sizes vary, some being well over 100 yards across. We'll wait for more info to see if the size of a room will count more towards this room limit than smaller rooms, but my initial impression is that having this many rooms when our housing level is only 7, it sounds kind of wild. And I also want to point out how certain room shapes are unlocked through this leveling track, as opposed to like maybe having to pay gold or something else to unlock it. That about sums up what we've learned today, and tomorrow I'll be live during my usual stream to cover the zone, quest, and story panel that'll play earlier in the day, and then I'll post an update similar to this, where I post my findings along with any changes or developments. I hope this was helpful, and if so, please hit that like button, subscribe for more WoW coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.